What's up, everybody? I just thought I'd have a little chat to you about the kit I use, like airbrush wise and compressor. And as you can see in front of you, that's my compressor. That's my Bambi. It's the best compressor I've ever owned. She's not cheap. I think she comes in at about 350, 360 maybe a bit more. Can't remember exactly, but I know she's expensive. She's oil filled, which means she hasn't got a membrane, so the lubricant is an oil which you pour in, which you buy. And I've only filled this up once so far, and I've moved it so you can actually see it. So that's the oil fill mark on it. It needs a top up, but I've only filled it up once since I've had it, and I've had it probably a good 6 months now, if not longer. I bought this because I had an Awata one, and the Awata one I have for about 7 years, which is a membrane one, and worked perfectly fine. But as I said, I burnt it out, so I thought I needed something which is a bit quieter, with a tank sort of reservoir, so the engine doesn't have to work, the motor doesn't have to work as much. I mean, I was recommended this by two people that had had this before me, so I had a pretty positive review on it, which are Moggy's Miniatures and War Master Painting. They both own these and both highly recommended them to me, and to be fair, I can't grumble at it there. It's a perfect bit of kit, like. And I think if you're going to take a lot of volume of work and you're going to do big stuff like terrain and things, this bad boy just ticks all the boxes. You know what I mean? Really nice. One of the best things I spent money on. Well, I've got a few airbrushes, and I've owned a few. I'll just zip over to there and have a little look. And I've owned quite a few airbrushes, all different ranges. These are where I'm at the moment. This is what I'm kind of using. Just squeeze past. I mean, this is my workhorse. This is my Water Eclipse. I've had this about 8-9 years. Never changed a part in it. I mean, as you can see, it doesn't get any love. It's a good medium brush. I like the trigger on the Awatas. Really nice. It's just a minimalistic trigger, just does the job. Do you know what I mean? And it's just a very nice brush. I think I bought this about 160 when I paid for it, but they've come down in price, and I think you can pick these up for 140, 120. But it's a wicked brush. It is. It's my work, because do all my terrain with this. Vehicles, you can get good base coats on, primer and stuff. It's generally easy to look after. I mean, all I literally do with this, I just unscrew the end and throw it in a little tub of acetone and scratch the nozzle out and clean the inside once in a while. So I do love that. I love him. He's, as you see, he doesn't get cleaned, but he does. But it's just one of those. Now I like these as well. I've owned like Badger variants and Chinese variants. I've owned a Renegade. I've seen quite a few Badger brushes, and they're good brushes. They're not bad for the money you pay. They're not top dollar, and they do some nice line work and that. They're just not my favourites. I'd rather have a Water or Steinbeck, which is the next brush I've got here. It's a Steinbeck. I just love this. It's just like totally bling. Do you know what I mean? It's, if anything else, it's the best looking brush, I'd say, out there. And I think this is about 160, 170. It's a very fine line. It's a fine lining brush. Do you know what I mean? You get issues with cleaning these things. They clog up. You only get this out when you want it to fine work. And this is probably more medium brush. Do you know what I mean? I've got the needle prank on this, so I need a little new needle. It's taking it apart, has its issues, do you know what I mean? But if you know airbrushes, you can get them back together. I mean, I really was sold on the trigger. I mean, it's a lot stiffer than the Awata ones. You have to give it a little bit more, so you get used to it, like. But the trigger is different. You got this adjuster on the back. But I think of all the brushes, the Steinbecks just look sick. Do you know what I mean? Even if you do have problems, because it's a fine brush you're going to have with any mech. If it's a fine brush, you're going to have to thin your paint, clean it. But that is a lovely good brush, like, do you know what I mean? I do use it. I use it once in a while. Not as much as I do, but as I said, the brush I use the most is the Eclipse, the big dog. And you get a nice instruction book on telling you how to dismantle it and a few basic things, which is always worth reading before you blast away with these things. And I've got my micro, which I haven't really used much yet. I've seen a lot of reviews on them. It's a lovely little package. Do you know what I mean? You get a nice sticker, you get a good, helpful book. And in this package, the brush is lovely. And I like this a little bit more than my Infinite. I mean, it's much more expensive brushes, twice. I think there's about $340 these go at. It's a much nicer brush, but it's also kind of like minimal, like my clips. Do you know, when you put them together, there's not too much, and I do prefer the water. So you know what I mean. I will be slightly biased towards these. Like, it's a lovely brush. I've got to have a proper play with this on some 28mm miniatures. As I said, it's my first kind of real look at it. Like, you get a moisture trap with it, and you get oil, little tools. So I think this once I get used to using this, as I said, I've not really used this yet. Like, I need to crack on with it. It's should be a very nice brush. I think there's going to be a lot of cleaning in this, but with every fine line airbrush, there's a lot of cleaning. Do you know what I mean? And I think the airbrush is, it's personal preference, a lot of it as well. Do you know what I mean? It's what you like to use and stuff. And some people don't really want to spray that small, but I always think it's nice to be able to pick a miniature up and actually spray the bloody thing if you want to with an airbrush, so you don't always have to do the brush work. But I mean, that's my little thoughts on my airbrush selection and my compressor. But I just personally think I just like a water. Do you know, even over the for looks, I'd go with style, but for use, I'd go with my water. Do you know, I mean, for cheapness, I'd probably go Badger. I'm not saying all Badger brushes are cheap, because they're not, like, but I think if you just want a bog standard, well, this is because the water bog standard range is nice as well. So it's a tough one. I think you need to own one. It sounds stupid, but I think you need to own a couple of different brushes to make your mind up on what you prefer. Anyway, I just thought I'd show you my sort of airbrushing kit. If you've got any questions about anything, just type it into the chat and I'll answer you back. Anyway, take care, folks.